But biggest sports stories of the year. This is going to get a little spicy because I know you guys love to rip apart our top 10 lists. But
Always.
go ahead and throw your top 10s out there or anything that hits your list, and we will
get on Google and look it up and tell us why we're wrong. Keep in mind, I do want to make one statement, Chris. We are doing this based off of we live in Colorado, right?
We do.
So some of these might be catered or even to teams that we are fans of. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's just these are our biggest stories. Don't have to be yours. But they're still big.
They're still big. That's true. So we're going to go ahead. Let's kick things off with number 10. And that's the Live Golf. Now, I know there's not a lot of 7-slide Messi World Cup number 1. Maybe it made the list. But Live Golf is number 1.
I forgot about that. When did that happen?
Number 10. Number 10. Because this was kind of a big deal. This is kind of a big deal in the course of an entire sport. Scotty, you're into golf, obviously. But with this, it was kind of something that shook up golf. It shook up an entire sport. You had, players shifting from side to side, trying to figure out who they're going to be associating themselves with, sticking with the PGA or going over to Live to make that bag, get that bag and make that money, But this is kind of a big deal. And I mean, football she snoozed through it.
Well, that's because our own mod was like, now's a good time to go to sleep. Like, what kind of a mod do we have that's telling people to leave the stream?
Well, we've always been telling her to go to sleep at a certain time.
Yeah. You just focused on one golf story. Listen, all right, let's put this in perspective, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's say it's any other sport. All right, let's say it's the NFL, and you have your top 30 players in the NFL, and 12 of them, maybe 10 of them leave for a different league. How big of a storyline would that be? That'd probably be number 1, Chris.
It's kind of a big deal.
That'd be number 1. This is a huge deal. Like, I don't love it. I don't love Live Golf. I wish it didn't exist. I can respect the people that go there because, listen, they're getting paid a shit ton of money to play golf, and it doesn't really even matter how they play. They're getting paid regardless. So I understand the reasons to do it. This shook up a game that's been around forever. Like, no one's ever competed with the PGA. And now you got this Live Golf. We'll see if it lasts or not. But regardless, this is a huge storyline and it has been a constant talking point. Whether you like golf or not doesn't matter. And it's really like, where do you fall in line? Like, do you fall in line with the play? And maybe you see both sides. The players that left just to get the payday, or do you appreciate more of the guys that stuck around with the PGA, who made them who they are and made them the likeness that they are, that is getting paid now by Live Golf and participating against the best in the world for the most part? I mean, the PGA still has more talent, of course, but the Live is slowly creeping in and stealing a lot of that talent. And it's not good for the sport, in my opinion, outside of being a storyline, I guess.
Yeah, no, big deal. It would be a big story because it's the NFL. Talk about Cooper Rush. New league would be massive news, says Rec. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that might make back page somewhere.
Live Golf wouldn't even offer Cooper Rush.
Yeah, because he's a quarterback.
And
I'm just correlating it to golf to football. Live Golf would be like, no, we're good. We're actually good.
54 golf players can play in the Master. 54 golf is kind of a big deal, says Milwaukee's, which I think is another. I mean, golf is there's leagues, ideas popping up, different people throwing out different things. Now that Liv did this, there's a lot happening in the world of golf. So big deal. And
by the way, Liv is 54.
Oh, my bad. Whatever.
I mean, I said that as Milwaukee posted.
Yeah.
LIV is Roman numeral for 54.
Yeah.
Which it's more along their holes and that they play. I don't think it correlates to the Masters, but.
Next up, number 9, KU with the big.
How is this now higher?
Scotty, I don't know. I mean, if you would have built this list, it probably would have been number 2, number 1, maybe.
Yep.
KU. Talk about KU. Why it's such a big story.
I mean, we have we have a national champion every year, but this was the single largest comeback we've had in a national title game in the history. KU coming back from 16 down is a storyline. Reckoning for Scotty to root for.
Crazy game.
Honestly, but like, listen, I mean, March Madness is obviously great every year.
Albert Einstein's DJ name. MC was Albert
That was-
Einstein's DJ name. MC was Albert
That's-
Einstein's DJ name.
It's a lot
C
of
squared.
repeats there.
What is the
A
best
lot of
website
repeats.
to find
I don't-
information about a DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wikipedia. Just
Mhm.
found out.
Yeah, tell us more.
Thank you, P3 for the bits. Appreciate that.
Football Life with a good point. Is that Kentucky or Kansas? That's true.
According to Helv, it's Kentucky.
It's Kentucky according to Health. According to everyone else, that is KU, and that's Kansas. All right. Just like my hat shows here. But I think that is a big storyline. They were down 15 at half, 16 at one point in the game. Largest comeback in national title history of March Madness in the NCAA tournament. That's a big storyline. I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Too low for number 9, Scotty, says Devil Doc.
I agree, Devil Doc. I agree. I want it higher.
Golf player sounds like what someone calls himself who is lying on their profile, says Cuban. If Scotty made the list, number 1 would be Mahomes had for breakfast. True.
I think it's noteworthy. Probably had the breakfast of champions.
KU, Kansas University, UK, Kentucky. Come on.
In the Hauser, I think she was kidding. I think she knew that. She was just making a joke because someone referred to me at some point.
Yeah.
He who should not be named as a Kentucky fan and not a Kansas fan.
So no, he's a Canadian, not an American.
Yeah,
So
he doesn't understand, sports, basketball, college basketball, things like that. He's like Kentucky, Kansas. That's the same place, right?
So
Next
how you'll
up,
feel about Derek
Actually-
Carr being benched? As a die-hard Raiders fan, him up for any sense of change to make the Raiders great.
Sure, it's Stidham. It's not going to make it great.
we've talked a lot about
benching Carr is not going to make him great.
No, it's there. He's pretty much getting the shaft out there, and he's getting hosed. He's going to be in a better situation somewhere else, but
I
yeah,
like this number 8 though.
it's
The
kind of
only thing we didn't mention, Chris, it's super interesting. How does Devontae Adams feel now?
well. Devontae Adams was sold that
He's got to be pissed.
I mean, yeah,
they played in college together. They're friends. Devontae Adams grew up a Raiders fan, but now he's in the middle of a rebuild.
yeah,
He doesn't want any part of that.
kind of wild, and we'll see how that affects. I mean, Josh McDaniels is on a short leash. There's a lot of things happening in with the Raiders. I even named my card
I
Derek.
even named my car Derek Few.
Yeah, that's sad. Thank you, P3,
Yeah,
for the
well.
bits.
Hopefully, it's still running.
Number 8, too low. Sheesh, says Devil Doc. But we have Pujols, 700 home runs on this one, and obviously legend. This was a big deal, Sky. We had a couple home run races going on, one of which we might get to here in a little bit. But Pujols hitting 700 comes in at number 8.
Yeah, I mean, part of what made this great is like he needed more home runs than anyone expected him to get this year. He hadn't done this amount since 2019. He hit like almost all of them in the second half of the season. I think 18 of the 24 he hit this year was in the second half to get over that 700 marker before retiring. Listen, he's 4th all time in home runs in the history of Major League Baseball, behind only Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, and Babe Ruth. That's a big damn deal. That's a big deal. Maybe it is too low at 8. That's a huge lifetime achievement award for Pujols, who has and went back to his OG team, to do it.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Never had a game where he even had a game where he pitched. True, 7.
He's done it all.
He's done it all.
outside of fielding in the last 5 years, but
Pujols hasn't hit this amount.
at one point he was a good first baseman.
Yeah.
Hit this amount of needles in 10 years. Yeah. the Cuban.
Maybe there were needles at play, but as someone who advocates for Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame, I don't care.
Favorite
care.
player, even as a Pirates fan, I have so much signed stuff from all the home runs he hit against us. Devil Doc.
Long live the machine.
Yeah. Anyone who hits that well, just assume is on steroids. Pujols the GOAT, says Joker. Anything you want to
add? The GOAT, but
anything
he's very, very great.
Add
Be the
Rec?
GOAT first baseman.
Rec, your boy right here.
Huh?
What do you think?
Was happy it happened, didn't look like it for a while. All of a sudden, he snorted the magic pixie dust of bullshit that many Cardinals players like to snort. Decided that he wanted to be God again.
There you go. Mayday, welcome in, Mayday. Good to have you back, my friend. Good. Hope you're doing well.
He was on the juice for 700. It's obvious. Oh, Mayday. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, well, coming in hot. I'll take it.
Again, I don't care if he was. So
Number 7 on the list. You got Steph Curry. Steph Curry, obviously best shooter on the planet and of all time. And he gets his finals MVP, gets it done. Big deal. I think Steph, he really came into this one. Obviously, he won the championships. He had the Durant championships. You had everything. And, this was kind of his and his alone. And I felt like this was a big, big deal for a legendary player who just needed this one. Scotty, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we were close to. So Steph broke the 3-point record mid-December of last year. So technically that wasn't 2022, but it was half a month away. So not only did he officially become the greatest shooter of all time, like we knew, he wins a 4th title, and then this is his first time, ironically, getting Finals MVP, Chris. So he wins his 4th. He gets Finals MVP. He proves that he's I don't know where you want to rank him all time. I don't know. It's hard to say, and I don't want to get into that right now. But phenomenal year, phenomenal career for Steph Curry. He's at 4 titles, same as a one LeBron James, for example. Might pass him at some point. We'll see. I don't think LeBron gets another one unless he's just finds a team to trail to a championship. Nah, he's still playing well, but not in LA.
7 Sly, he's all about this one. He saw this one coming. Ravens 6, Steelers 3, says B-Dub. King shot 74% in the 4th. 3 players got 30 points.
I mean,
that's bad.
That 4th quarter was an abomination for the Nuggets. They blew that one, no doubt.
LeBron would have to join the Warriors for a ring to 7. I mean,
that would be epic to
or better yet,
trail Steph for a title.
Or KD is good at trailing good teams for titles. So maybe KD can jump in on board and come back.
No, I would much prefer LeBron just joining the Warriors and being like a side note as they win a title.
Number 6 on our biggest sports stories of 2022. Not all these are great stories, and we have some things that are working in our favor when it comes to getting some of these guys out. Sarver and Snyder, obviously toxic people in the top of big organizations. It's not a pretty story, but it was a big sports story. We lumped them together, and we need to clean house on some of these guys, and they're starting to do that. Obviously, Sarver getting out from under the Suns, selling that franchise, and which
got a ridiculous payday on that.
Ridiculous payday. He gets rewarded in a sense, which is unfortunate, but nonetheless, he is not going to be the guy anymore. Same thing, hopefully for Snyder very soon as well. But nonetheless, clearing out some of this toxic environment for these people that are working under these guys, and trying to change the culture. Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a fun story to talk about, but it's the reality of where we're at, and we have some bad owners in leagues. Unfortunately, we've known Snyder for a while. Sarver was more recent and pretty quick to fall to pressure, fortunately, and sell the team at least. Yeah, he's getting a huge payday, but at least he'll be gone out of the league. It's not a good look for the league. Hopefully Snyder will soon be the same way, and we can talk about that. But Yeah, unfortunately, there's talking points on the not great side of things in sports, and ownership that doesn't exude confidence in the players and the organization, and runs things the wrong way, unfortunately. So let's get them out. Let's get them out in 2023. Let's get Snyder out, and then we can rejoice.
So much for COVID causing team values to go down, says Cuban.
Yeah. Well, I literally have never been more confused in the value of a team than the Phoenix Suns sale.
Phoenix Suns is ridiculous.
It does not make sense to me. It doesn't compute.
Next up, number 5 was the insane game of the century between the Chiefs and the Bills. Obviously, guys, we had a lot going around with our stream. We streamed that, I believe, didn't we? Or no, we did not. No,
we 100% did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we streamed it. It was insane.
Yeah, I was a mess.
Yeah, you were a mess. That was Oh man,
I knocked over my camera. At one point, it was on the floor.
This game.
This was the best single game in sports this year, right?
Been better than the World Cup final.
I mean,
I think so.
That was good too.
I mean, that'll be up here, but I think the game itself. I mean, the problem with the World Cup final was decided by like a shootout, which is what is sad to me a little bit. But great game. But the Chiefs Bills, the up and down Cuban Scotty. I hope they keep you on staff. All the bad owners have to sell their teams. Thanks, thanks, Cuban. Appreciate that. I'm trying to just slide through and be not as bad as those other ones. But I mean, this was one of the best football games we've seen in maybe ever, right? Like a playoff game that went back and forth at the end, like that did. That was exciting, like it was. I'm involved in this one emotionally, so maybe remove me. But I don't think I'm crazy to say that this is one of the best football games we've seen in our lifetime.
Yeah, and I think this one. I mean, 13 seconds. How? Says 7. Yeah, that's like you don't understand how crazy the game this was until you go back. We might have to watch this. We haven't done a throwback game, rewatch a throwback game, Scotty. We'll do that once the NFL season is over, but it doesn't. This one is kind of worth going back and watching again.
For sure.
Sometime soon. So Chiefs and Bills makes our list at number 5, and we will watch that game on our stream one more time this coming off season. So keep tuned. We haven't, I forget we haven't done a throwback game in a while. So
we have actual games.
It's true. It's true. So that way
Milwaukee Bills should have got the ball, and now the rule has changed. But let's pretend. All right, the Chiefs go down. They score a touchdown. Bills get the ball. They go down. Let's say they score a touchdown. Okay. Then the Chiefs needed a field goal to win. You don't think they're not getting a field goal after that? I've argued this. Like, the rule is changed now, but it's not any different. It's the same. It's the same.
The alternative, Bills go down, get a touchdown, try for 2.
Yeah, but what if the Chiefs knowing that might have gone for 2 and probably got it? Even scoring the first touchdown.
I think it becomes much more of a chess match.
I don't know. Stop the team from scoring with 13 seconds and then stop them from scoring a touchdown in overtime.
Worthy of a throwback. That game was what they imagined when the NFL was first put on TV. Yeah, 100%. But there you go. Coming in at number 5. We will revisit that one. Number 4. We got to do it. Got to do it. I know this isn't a big one for a lot of you guys, but it's Stanley Cup is a big deal.
This is a home field advantage.
This is a home field advantage for the stream, because the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup this past year, and it was absolutely incredible. We've been on the brink for so long, and again, it's a championships. We could throw the Rams on here. We could throw. Championships are championships, and one of the biggest ones that you can win is the Stanley Cup. Obviously, that trophy that's the king of trophies, right? And here's the thing. Avs, they got it done. and they've been one of the best teams in hockey, if not the best team, for the last 2-3 years. Couldn't get it done. Choked, and here we are. They finally hoist the cup. They reward all of that talent that they built on this team, the coaching, everything, and brought it home, Scotty.
Yeah, I would argue it's the only team in 2022 that like consistently was the best team in the league in the regular season and then won the postseason. So yeah, I know hockey's not as big as some of these other sports, but like the consistency, the ability to finally get over the hump as an Avs fan after having successful seasons in the past and then laying an egg in the playoffs. You look at the other champions in 2022. I mean, the Rams weren't the best team in the regular season, right? The Warriors were not the best team in the regular season. Like no other league had the best team in the regular season, then followed up and compound that with a title. The Avs were able to do that. And a great moment here for us locally, Chris.
So this might be weighted a little bit more. So just this is where it's going to get a little spicy. But there you go. Number 4. Number 3 on our list. Now, it's not every day you have 2 legends of a sport call it quits. You have Roger Federer and Serena Williams, who wrapped it up. I mean, you can make the argument that Serena is one of the best athletes in tennis history. Just the dominance that she put out there. You can make the argument that Roger is the best male tennis figures in the sport, both of which dominated for an extremely long amount of time in their professions. And obviously this is a kind of a big deal when, retire the same year, Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, obviously retirement isn't like a noteworthy event in itself of like something epic that happened, but we watched it's not debatable in my mind, the greatest female tennis player of all time, and Serena Williams, and Roger Federer, who is certainly like a top 5 male player that you could argue with several others. But I mean, these two revolutionized the game, were huge parts of the game for so long, and to end in the same year and kind of retire, end of an era there. And listen, they're the GOATs though. Like Pujols, no offense, is not the GOAT. No one's arguing Pujols is the greatest baseball player of all time. Mad respect to Pujols, but Serena is the greatest, maybe female athlete of all time.
You could make that argument. Argument. And here's the thing, like the dominance that they put forward. Like if you had someone that was as dominant as these 2 players were of their respective sport. I mean, Tiger comes to mind, dominant in his respective sport. I mean, we're talking about individual accolades of athletes that just absolutely took over. I mean, you tuned in to watch Serena. Like you tuned in to watch Roger win those championships, right? So I don't know. I just think that these 2 really, like, we packaged them together and we put it here at number 3. You don't have legends like this just coming on and just like calling it quits every so often. So here you go. Serena's definitely the best, says Joker. Alternate headline, the 700th ranked tennis player retired.
All right. If you want to play that game, Chairman, and we agree usually, but all right, the 700th best player in baseball retired this year while hitting 24 home runs.
Nadal broke the record for most Grand Slams.
I mean, it's not like Pujols was at the top of the game these days.
He was.
Pujols' Grand Slams are better than Roger and Serena's Grand Slams.
That is actually an opinion.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. You're
also a Cardinals fan. So.
You could stretch that a little bit. Number 2, we had the home run race. Aaron Judge coming in here, and Scotty, this one just happened a little bit ago, so it's kind of fresh. We talked about this one on the stream, but Judge coming in at number 2.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm kind of a hater on this one. I mean, it was a huge storyline. He broke when he broke the record. I argued like, why is it we don't talk about records in versus AFC and NFC or
True.
Eastern versus Western Conference and other sports, but AL versus NL we talk about. Judge had a phenomenal year, and it was a huge storyline. It was absolutely a huge storyline, and it should have been. And the fact that he was in New York probably brought that to a different level, no doubt. But G girl's still here. There you are.
She's hanging in there.
Hi.
She heard Aaron Judge.
Listen, he had a phenomenal year. He's getting paid off that phenomenal year, and respect to him. I mean, it's no small feat to break the record for home runs in the American League all time. So it was a good storyline for baseball. I mean, baseball more than any other sport, I think, Chris. And I was gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong. So like focus on their records and their history more than any other sport, right?
It's the statistics
records broken because it's been around so long, and the statistics and the records and like the history of it, they rely on that more than any other sport for sure, in my mind.
Yeah, no, and this is something that helps the sport get eyeballs on it, right? I mean, Major League Baseball has that problem where it's starting to need things like this. I mean, what revitalized baseball when it was, back in the day? It was home runs. It was chasing a big number that, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and all of those big. Then you had, the race with Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds was trying to go for records and different. People watch, and it's kind of a big deal, and it gets eyeballs on the game of baseball, and
For sure.
steroids and everything else. I know it's all part of the mix. It's juice. Everyone's
G-Girl, I think there were juice balls. It's not. I've seen evidence of it. That's not really an opinion. That's kind of fact. There are different balls in baseball, which blows my mind.
It's kind of weird
How that can be possible, but how they do that, I don't understand why you do that as baseball. Just have a juice ball all the time. Then, if you want to make it more exciting, just have the ball juiced everywhere.
juice the balls, man. Juice the balls.
Yeah. I have a better idea. Stop touching the baseballs.
Last and number one story is we have Lionel Messi, the World Cup, as number 1, and it's pretty even. It's pretty safe to say that this takes the cake for the biggest moment, the biggest sports story, because of what this really means in the grand everything. Soccer is the most watched and most watched sport in the entire world, and everyone knows who Lionel Messi is. You know Messi and you know Cristiano Ronaldo. Regardless if you like soccer or not, you know who these guys are. He's literally the most decorated player coming into this World Cup. World Cup happens once every 4 years, and the World Cup by itself was the match of the century. It was absolutely the most incredible match that we've seen. You had 2 superstars going head to head. You had the drama. You had the comeback from, the French team to come back and tie this up and go into extras. And you had, top to bottom, hat tricks by star players. You shootout. You had everything. Now, the shootout maybe is not how everyone wanted this one to end, but still exciting nonetheless. Lionel Messi cemented himself as the number 1 player over Cristiano Ronaldo. That debate is almost just nullified at this point. And it was nullified before this by a lot of people too. But regardless, he cemented himself as one of the greatest players to ever play the sport. The World Cup was an absolute success from the game standpoint, not maybe some other standpoints of just the event in general. But this takes the number 1 spot.
Yeah, and maybe listen, this was, if you're talking globally, this was the biggest moment of the year, no doubt. If you went to like Europe or even Argentina and was like, hey, let me list off these other events, they'll be like, I don't even know what you're talking about in some of these events. So globally, it's not hard to argue. This World Cup win, Lionel Messi solidifying himself as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time, is a big deal in the history of sport. There's no doubt about it. And not to mention, you talked about it being a phenomenal final against the French, back and forth, 2-0 to 2-2, and then both teams score in extra time before the shootout. So back and forth affair, high scoring for you people that don't love 0-0 ties in soccer. You got to see an entertaining, world-class game with another greatest player in the world, and Mbappe getting a hat trick, as you talked about. So I mean, that has to be number one. It globally, that has to be number one. You guys can hate it, and that's fine, and you don't love soccer enough, but globally, in the world of sport, that was the number one moment of this year.
It's funny that you bring up diversity of like other people wouldn't know half of these things that happened on this board, like in other countries. I was actually literally this afternoon, I was having a conversation about like the sports that are most diverse. And we were like, all right, baseball, pretty diverse. You get Japan and the Pacific side, and then you have the Dominican side coming here playing baseball. Then you have the NBA global. You have European, so 3 or 4 of the top players in the world right now are not American. Then you have hockey. You got, Sweden, Finland, Russia, all these clubs. You got Canada, all these teams that are. NFL comes around. There's like no diversity in the NFL whatsoever. It's just like, that's just, it's all American. That's it. Nobody.
We do have Australians.
Like a couple, like two.
We have a bunch, but most of them are punters.
Chris, never mind. I've changed my mind because Chairman said whatever. Messi can't scramble and throw from different arm angles like Mahomes. He's right. I changed my mind. Never mind. I forgot about Messi. I don't even know who that is. Mahomes is the GOAT.
Mahomes. There you go. Had to slither that one in. Just slide it on in. But vote, guys. Why isn't Russell Wilson on the list? From Pete Problems Trade. I mean, it's not. It's a story,
you
but
could argue it's the worst trade in the history of the sport.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like.
We'll see. There's years to play out on it, but right now it looks like the worst trade ever. But we've talked about it a lot already.
It's a bigger story in Denver.
Does it beat any of these? I don't think so. He just got traded and is bad.
And we try, and I thought about too, like the biggest dunks of the year and the biggest dunks. Those are moments more so than like the biggest stories. And like, sure, like the Harper, is Mayday's making a case for Harper, and that whole it's good, yeah, but like there's only 10 spots, so a good dunk or a crazy play in baseball, or
Harper's run was phenomenal.
It was,
and could have been on this list, but we chose others.
Yeah, so it made the list. It just wasn't quite up to the top 10, but maybe an honorable mention there for you, Mayday. There you go. Chris, well done. The fun of the list is arguing about the list. That's true. Make it spicy.
Hey, we collabed on this list.
I think it's fitting that your year in review is the most.
I don't care.
Fitting that the most your year in is the most agreeable one.
I'm shocked.
Vote, but we got 4 C's, a B, 2 B's, and an A. We got C. We got a C on our.
But nothing less than a C, Chris. And then really, that looks like a B average to me. Looks like a B average.
Yeah. I'll take a B average. That's the highest we've gotten on a top 10 list in like forever. So I'll take it.